All right, welcome to the commission meeting of May 9th. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Manager Miguel, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Flynn,
Present.
Commissioner Grella.
Here.
Commissioner Ranny. Commissioner Swager Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Silverman.
Here. Could you proceed with the manager's announcements, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Prior to tonight's meeting, Commission met in executive session to receive legal advice from the solicitor on a variety of topics. The next regular commission meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 23rd, and will begin at 8 p.m. in this room. Here are the ways the public can participate in person. You don't need to pre-register. Simply show up at the appropriate meeting time. If you wish to speak as part of citizen comments, please sign the sign-in sheet at the back of the room. Or you can also participate remotely via the Zoom webinar format. Again, you don't need to pre-register. Simply click the link located on the meeting agenda on the municipal website. If you wish to speak during the citizens' comments or during public hearings, simply use the raise hand feature on Zoom and you'll be notified when it is your turn to speak. Immediately following the executive session, the commission met in discussion session and we received information and discussed the following items. We heard a review of the information and a report from the commission retreat that was held a little earlier this year. That information will be posted on our website in the next day or two for anybody that's interested. And we also heard a presentation and had a extended discussion on a proposed Brick Street policy. We will bring that back at a future discussion agenda to continue the discussion. And we had to push our presentation on the Alcoasand trunk transfer agreements and the associated required resolution. We'll pick that up at the next discussion session on May 23rd.
Great, thank you. Next, community highlights. Commission Vice President Swager Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. We would like to recognize that May is both Jewish American Heritage Month and Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. To celebrate, the Mount Lebanon Public Library has a great book list to help us all learn more about each other. To our residents of the Jewish and AAPI heritages, you are welcome and you are wanted here. The Uptown Farmers Market begins on Saturday and continues through October. Shop on Washington Road from 9 to noon and get the best local produce, meats, breads, and other treats. I highly recommend Lou the Pie Guy, the best. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We are fortunate in Mount Lebanon to have a nonprofit counseling organization that receives some municipal funding to help our residents during difficult times. Every resident is able to receive 2 free counseling sessions. Let's lift the stigma so everyone can get help. Details are available at outreachteen.org. Additionally, State Representative Dan Miller's Disability and Mental Health Summit is on Thursday, May 11th at Bethel Congregation, 1900 Cochrane Road. For details, go to www.disabilitysummit.com. I'd like to remind everyone that Mount Lebanon ordinances prohibit placing any kind of signs in public areas, including parks, traffic islands, utility poles, or intersections. This includes election signs, affinity signs, event signs, and business signs. Signs may only be placed on private property. Signs placed in public areas will be removed. Speaking of Election Day, our primary is Tuesday, May 16th, 2023 from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can find your polling place by going to mountlebanon.org and click on Trending Now. Please vote. Very important civic duty. The Vibrant Uptown construction project is at a critical point with lots of work happening in our central business district. This means on-street parking is very limited and you should plan to park in one of our 2 garages or in a surface lot. Please continue to patronize our businesses as they have been patient and they need you. When this project is completed, Uptown will be more accessible, safer, and more enjoyable. Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you for those announcements.
Mhm.
Next on the list, Junior Commissioner Sam Noel, come on down.
Good evening, everyone. Like always, I'll start with some high school updates. First, I would like to congratulate the appointment of Dr. Melissa Freeze as the new superintendent. At the beginning of the search for our new superintendent, the search company hired by the school district met with the student council executive officers from different grade levels to discuss what we'd like to see in our new superintendent. We discussed that we would like to see a female superintendent to take a step in the right direction for diversity here at Mount Lebanon, and we received that, so very grateful. Last week and this week are AP test weeks. So students are working very hard to study for their AP exams, to complete the exam to earn college credit. Good luck to all of these students on their exams. Mount Lebanon Band and Choir are wrapping up their years with their final concerts. Tonight is the band program's final concert, and they will have their May concert and honor their 16 seniors graduating. Choir will have their final concert on Wednesday, May 17th at 7:30 p.m. in the high school auditorium. This concert is their annual pop concert where they will showcase many songs, including an Elton John and ABBA medley. Good luck to these students. Today, after school, Mount Lebanon Global Studies and STEM Academy honored their recipients of the certificate students. Global Studies students had to complete 30 hours of outside class activities with a global focus, as well as take certain classes to complete their certificate. STEM Academy students had to complete certain classes and shadow different medical professionals to complete their certificate. Congratulations to the 11 STEM Academy certificate students: Victoria Finizio, Deborah Fu, Grace Gano, Rachel Kakad, Grace Kramer, CJ McConnell, Molly McKenna, Josh Skolsky, Anvi Takar, Sophia Voyevich, and Donna Wang, and the 11-9 Global Studies certificate students, Katie Gerard, Sarah Frew, Gina Malachow, Melanie Rock, Kate Beeman, William Sandoval, Amy Tan, and myself. Congratulations to all of these students for this outstanding achievement. Next, every spring, Mount Lebanon hosts the Junior Book Award ceremony, and colleges across the country participate by giving an award or a book to a junior student. This year, 28 junior students out of the whole class received a book award and were honored at the event. To be selected, you were nominated and selected by a committee, so it is a pretty big honor. This year, presenters from different universities included Chatham University, Cornell University, Harvard University, Princeton University, the Society of Women's Engineers, Pittsburgh Selection, the Historical Society of Mount Lebanon, University of Pennsylvania, University of Virginia, and Yale University. Congratulations to all these outstanding students. As Commissioner Swagger Wilson said, May is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and the AAPI Club at our high school is celebrating by giving different AAPI fun facts on the announcements every morning. Today, the fun fact was about an Asian singer and songwriter, Conan Gray. Congratulations to the high school High Q Quiz Bowl team for their first round win. Seniors Trenton Wood and Vishnu Benapol and sophomore Tessa Tornello advanced to the semi-final playoffs as one of the top 9 area high school teams to advance this far. Lebo's High Q team earned educational grant for the high school from GBU Life to fund their team. Well done, Trenton, Vishnu, and Tessa, and good luck to them in the future competitions. Finally, actually not finally, the high school's fashion club is hosting their annual fashion show in the Skywalk on May 12th at 7:30. Tickets are $6 and can be purchased at the door. All proceeds are donated to charity. I attended last year's fashion show. It was a great event, so I recommend attending. Now, finally, as this is my last meeting, I would like to thank the commission for listening to my comments this far and upholding the values of youth voice in local government. Youth voice is extremely important to me, and I truly thank you for this opportunity. And with that, that concludes my report for May 9th.
And we appreciate your comments. Thank you for being, not just tonight, but for your term. We appreciate your volunteering and spending the time. This is not a privacy shield. This is actually a gift for you. Thank you. Thank you. Ian. We appreciate it. Comments, volunteering? Thank you. Just picture it all or something. Okay, next on the agenda, citizens' comments. Get my cheat sheet here. This is an opportunity for any resident to express an opinion on any topic pertaining to local government. The commission enjoys hearing from the public on various issues and learning about items to address in the future. If you have specific questions, we will try and answer them at the end of your comments. If we can't, we commit to getting you the answers as soon as possible. When I call your name, please come to the podium to address the commission. Please state your name and address for the record. In fairness, we ask each speaker to share their thoughts for 5 minutes. The community is good as each person in this room. We work together to make this a community that we can all be proud of, and we hope that the dialogue remains respectful. We also appreciate the audience's efforts to refrain from any behavior that is disruptive or might intimidate free speech. First on the list, Colonel Hone, come on down.
Bill Hearn, 456 Coolidge Avenue. I recently got a copy of Mount Lebanon Parks recommendations on deer management. About 12 years ago, myself and 2 other members of the Friends of the Earth went to a Parks Advisory meeting. We found that every one of these folks were into plants. Well, real surprise there. They're all horticulturalists. Well, I go to this later meeting and what do I see? I don't even know if anybody left the prior meeting. Exact same thing, horticulturalists. I don't know if anybody there had 1 course in biology. These folks were all aimed at preserving the plants. Well, I got my first degree in zoology. That's animal life. Animals came out after the plants, and we used plants for our sustenance. That's it. These guys being totally focused toward plants, that leaves off half the biodiversity in the community. Okay, they said after 7 seasons, the deer management program has stabilized the deer population. I don't have any idea what a season is. Is it 1 year? Is the fall season and then the spring season? I don't know. They don't elaborate. They recommend that we close all or portions of some parks. Well, if we go back to the beginning of this nonsense, we had a guy by the name of Craig B. Swoopy. Stood right back there with his group until he was called forward. He was the lead killer with the USDA Department of Agriculture's killing team. Well, he made the exact same recommendations. Close the parks. Let's kill the deer. Let's open killing throughout the township. Otherwise, it's not going to work. That means on my property, on church property, right out here on Washington Road. They wanted to have Toyota pickup trucks traveling around with shooters in the back, 24/7. Luckily, our commission wasn't that crazy at that time. Okay, one other thing I wanted to get before time disappears. I want to be sure that I mention they bring up Lyme disease in this report, which shows a distinct lack of understanding of Lyme's disease. I had Lyme's disease in February. I've had another tick removed not too long after that. It's something that you don't want to get, but it's not transmitted by deer. Transmitted by deer mice. They are the carriers, not the deer. So we're paying over $500 a deer now And also, we kill about 70 deer. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is if deer were responsible for half of what this community claims that they're guilty of, they'd be extinct in North America. There's no doubt about it. Deer are not a problem of any sort. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Killing municipal trees. What kills municipal trees, and it would behoove the township and the commissioners to get a heads up on this, is all the road salt that is spread around like crazy. I've had as much on a turn in my neighborhood as 4 inches of salt just laying there on the road. Beautiful. The deer are not killing the trees. They stimulate growth by eating the lower ends of the tree. That's what they do. Okay. Deer have been here much longer than we have. We have been in North America 34,000 years. Deer have been here much longer. They are part of the environment. They are a part of the biodiversity. I don't think this team understands what biodiversity is. To them, biodiversity is more plants. That's not it. We eat the plants. Thank you very much.
Colonel. Next on the list, I'm not sure, I see which, okay, Anna Sefkin will go first. Come on up, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Anna Siefkin. I live at 19 Woodland Drive, and I've been there for about 10 years. I'm the chair of Mount Lebanon's Economic Development Council. I'm the former chair of Mount Lebanon's Historic Preservation Board, work significantly on brick streets, and I work at the U.S. Department of Energy as a senior advisor during the day. So I thought I'd be here today speaking about just one topic, but it turns out I'm going to talk really quickly about 2 topics. And I wanted to really focus in on that civic engagement that you talked about during the discussion session. So the first is going to be on brick street preservation via repair and reconstruction. And the second is actually my original intent for being here, which is to talk about sidewalks with many of my neighbors who are also here. So first, related to brick streets and the segment that we talked about in the discussion session, I continue to believe that the information that's being used to make decisions about brick streets isn't in line with the 2021 Carnegie Mellon University study that I worked on, and that the LCA costs are based on an entire rebuild. I'd love to encourage you to continue to think about repair. The recommendations were and continue to keep brick streets in situ. I'd like that to be the recommendation, which I know some of the commissioners are in favor of. And not to remove streets that are lesser used like alleys and dead ends just to save other streets. So reconstructing an asphalt it remains short term. It requires repaving every 5 to 8 years. We can debate how many years, but it is a replacement much more frequently than the 125 years that we've enjoyed the brick streets that are currently in place. In fact, we've sort of ignored that asset for about 100 years. So it's important, I think, for us to remember that. But that removing a brick street is permanent. The current plan where it talks about replacing will allow for the deconstruction over time of multiple streets and alleys that could remain in place. Once they're gone, it's an asset gone forever. There are residents who live on those streets who should be given an opportunity to at least have commentary on the streets that are on that list. There are 15 of them. And so I'd love for them to be informed and have a fair and equitable chance to at least advocate for the parts of the streets that they live on so that that process can be more transparent. So my second topic is to talk about the 2013 sidewalk policy. Again, many of my neighbors, if they'll raise their hands, are here to talk about the sidewalk policy. Since the policy was established about 10 years ago, a process which in itself was not without a lot of drama for the folks on Meadowcroft, has only seen an increase in sidewalks from between 63 and 68%, about 5% increase over 10 years. So in essence, it's been extremely difficult to build a sidewalk in Mount Lebanon during that time period, particularly on streets that need them the most, which include streets that are in proximity to schools like mine, and those connected to bus routes, which help people get to work. In essence, about the 100% participation requirement was untenable for many, and it seems too stringent, especially since the same set of requirements are not put on residents who have the luxury of inheriting sidewalks that already exist. So my street is Woodland Drive, and it's a very busy collector street. It's a car-focused street currently with about 100 vehicle trips per week to and from Foster Elementary. In fact, we get both the to and the from traffic. And in the last few years, there's been almost a complete turnover in young families with kids who are walking to school, but it's risky for them. Cars scoot by up and down every morning, so much so that my husband Paul and I time our walks in the morning with our dog to avoid when traffic is coming. So any of you who would like to come and join me on my front porch for coffee between 8:15 and 8:35, Monday through Friday, are more than welcome to come and see what I'm talking about. So furthermore, there was a serious injury to one of our fellow neighbors in February of 2021 when this person fell into a manhole while balancing on a street curb during a snowstorm, and we're just lucky that it wasn't worse. These are safety concerns. So sidewalks make rows of houses into neighborhoods. We on Woodland would like to advocate to have that sidewalk policy moved forward. I know that it's in revision, there's a version that's being edited. We'd like to move it forward so that it's included in the budget discussion for 2023 and so that streets like Woodland can be built in 2024. I have 18 seconds to tell you that the reason that we got started on this about 10 years ago, before that, many of our neighbors, was because my daughter, Ruby Siefkin, who's a former junior commissioner and now at University of Maryland, wrote a story in 4th grade about how she didn't understand why there weren't streets in front of our house. I'd love to share it with you. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Commission, it's not on the discussion announcements yet, but the first meeting in June, we're supposed to have a discussion on sidewalk policy. So that's coming up. Deb Smith, come on down, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Deb Smith, and I also live on Woodland Drive. I'm at 37. My husband and I and our 2 girls have been there for about 28 years. And I'm here tonight in support of my neighbors and just to affirm everything that Anna just said. When we first moved into Woodland, I live at the bottom of the hill where traffic starts to go up right across from White Oak Circle. And I was horrified by how fast people were going up that hill. They would immediately start to accelerate as soon as they got to the bottom of my driveway. So I came in at the time and I spoke to the then council, and I was told that the way the policy works, there was no way we were ever going to get sidewalks on our street because there were a number of older neighbors who would be opposed to it. And it just informed me of the potential change in this policy, and I think it sounds like an awesome idea. I would love to see streets like Woodland that are very unsafe be considered for sidewalks. As many of you know, it's a high traffic street. And there are so many close calls that I can see right through my front window every day with dog walkers, baby strollers, children on bikes, families. And since COVID, people have discovered that it's a lovely street to walk on. And, because it's on a loop. So I think that we've increased the number of people walking on our street out there. So I'd like to give you, I'd like to ask that you really give this some serious consideration. There's probably a lot more traffic out there in cars and in people than there was when I came here before to speak to you, but it is a safety issue and I'd appreciate your attention to it. Thank you.
Thank you. And just June 13th.
June 13th would be that date for the commission discussion session.
It's somewhere between 6:30 and 8 PM. The exact time hasn't been set yet, but I can mark your calendars for June 13th, please. I see Dan Miller's on the list. We welcome our state representative. Come on down. Thank you for the honor of stopping by.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know what was going on. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Kick them out.
Yeah. No, I didn't, by the way, you guys added the beep, that loud piercing. No, I don't remember that. When did you guys do that?
Left.
After I left?
Yeah, right after you
Yeah,
left.
today.
We knew you'd be back. We had to time you.
Hey, listen, I just wanted to stop in, and it's good to see everybody and so many people here too today. So I'm very glad to hear. I know we're gonna go take a look at those fences that we got done on Dixon, was it? Right? So glad to take a look at that project, but for a state grant that we were able to help with. But I did want to stop in as well to just, while I had the chance, to just stop in and let you guys know about the grant that we are working on for the fire department training. So I did have a meeting this week. There are 2 stages still to go on it. Everything is moving very well. You guys will be getting some paperwork back from the state, not too far off, probably in a couple weeks. And roughly the estimation is about somewhere around August, that the $200,000 grant for that training facility will come through. So I just want to be sure to let you guys, all know that this is coming. And that we're, very excited to team up with you to deliver this level of enhanced training, knowing that it will help keep Mount Lebanon and the surrounding community safer, with such a strong department, obviously, to maximize it to its fullest. So I just want to be sure that y'all know it. We'll be looking to send some things over as it comes a little more formal, but it is coming, and August should be probably the latest that it will be done. All right, I still have a couple minutes left. I don't know.
That beep.
Yeah, where's that beef? That's good to see all of you. So, but thank you. I think the only one who kind of, Phil, you look the same. Good to see you. So it's great to see Bill Hoon. So glad to see Bill. It's, consistent. God bless him. He's consistent. I always appreciate that. And I thought about starting off saying my taxes were paid. Does anybody still do that? But
Legislation we should be aware of?
No, but the budget is, and we're gonna be working on that for, hopefully obviously we gotta finish up by the end of June, for that deadline. To be honest, there's still a fair amount of work, to be done. Vehicle started last week. And we are hoping to see some re-engine, we're trying to put more money into supports for, so DCED programs that you guys do a great job in trying to secure, and hopefully more of our towns as well. But the funding for that has not been the same over the last 15 years, and the state should be providing more supports for especially the small businesses and great places up here that you guys are doing good work on. Again, glad to help with that as well. So, but look, no need to keep it. I'm just glad to stop in.
Would you like to mention your mental health and disability center?
Oh, that's right. For everybody who's watching at home. Yeah, and obviously, thank you for our Disability and Mental Health Summit, the 10th anniversary. I always appreciate Laura in helping to spread the word for that. It is our favorite event. It's at the Bethel Congregation this Thursday. The largest collection of disability and mental health resources, bipartisan, bicameral discussions on how to help disability and mental health moving forward in our state. So I know many of you know it, so thank you for that. I forgot all about it. But I appreciate it, okay? And please know that you're delivering on that fire training facility grant. I could tell you is a very high priority. So we're gonna get that done. It's gonna be coming, and we look forward to seeing all the good work you guys are gonna do with it, okay? Thanks so much. Appreciate the beat.
Bye, appreciate it.
Say just 2 quick things.
Yes.
One in response to Rep Miller coming in. We are very lucky to have a representative like Dan Miller who. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Not just because of the legislation that he works on and what he does for this community, but he has brought a lot of money back to this community for a lot of different projects, a lot of different grants over the years that he's been our elected official. So that's 1. 2, I also want to highlight, because we're going to be talking about this in a minute, so I guess I could save it till later. We've mentioned this in other discussions, that the fire department does a lot more than just put out fires. From training to activities in our schools, work on other issues. We had firefighter Chris, where he talked about, he was featured in the magazine talking about finding alternative ways to train some of our kids in schools who might not get certain things out of the normal training, which is a really interesting program. So I just want people to be mindful of that when they come up here to present this stuff and we talk about this. And which I'm sure we'll continue to talk about as we move along, but wanted to get those 2 comments in.
Yeah, great, thank you. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? All right, anybody online? One, Nick?
It's Sandy.
Yes, we have one speaker, Elise. Good evening. When I allow you to speak, please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes for your comments. You'll hear a tone when your time is concluded. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Hackey. I live at 820 Ridgeview Drive. And I too am here tonight to make a brief comment about pedestrian safety in our community. Totally understand we'll be discussing this in June, and I'd be happy to come back on the 13th. I'm sorry I can't join you in person. And I think many of you know my feelings on this topic, but just wanted to chime in here because I'm so glad we're making incremental progress and I guess nearing proposal of the updates to the expansion policy. You may recall I'm a Mount Lebanon native. I grew up in the Lincoln district, went to Lincoln Elementary, Jefferson Middle, and the high school. I have 3 daughters, the oldest of whom is in kindergarten at Foster right now. I chose to return to Mount Lebanon after many years away in New York City because I value, of course, the quality of our education, but even more than that, I value the safety and well-being of my children, which is why I continue to be incredibly concerned about safe walking or lack thereof in our Ward 3 neighborhood. After we spoke last year, I went on to speak with the Environmental Sustainability Board. I met with the Traffic Board and have spoken with a number of people in the municipality. When I was a student in the district over in Lincoln, 100% of my walking routes to elementary, middle, and high school were lined with sidewalks. In addition to that, the intersections I crossed were controlled with stop signs, traffic signals, and crossing guards. By contrast, as you know, my daughter today is expected to walk to Foster on a route that has only 6% sidewalks. She's expected to scurry across unmarked and uncontrolled intersections on an incredibly busy and dangerous street, and that's Woodland Drive that everyone's talking about tonight. I completely agree that my neighbors and I are expected to accept far too much risk on a daily basis. The safe walking routes that are published by the Mount Lebanon School District and the Police Department indicate that recommended routes will, quote, take you to a signalized intersection with a stop sign or traffic signal, making it easier to cross. But it's just not true for my neighborhood. So while sidewalks will greatly improve pedestrian safety in our neighborhood, it won't solve for everything. And I would be happy to engage in discussions on this topic. I've walked this, quote, safe walking route with the traffic engineer, Michael Haberman, last year, and he was jumping into people's front yards to avoid getting hit by oncoming traffic. And that's kind of the norm. It's how we exist over here. We dive into people's front yards as we're walking these safe walking routes. At the conclusion of Michael Haberman's assessment, you may recall, he concluded that we needed sidewalks on Woodland. And you also know the traffic board does not have the authority to implement them. So, I know we can do better to standardize safe walking in our community. I welcome all updates to the expansion policy. And for a walking district, I think we simply have to do better. I too am happy to walk around the neighborhood with you. I'm happy to talk offline with any of you. And I thank you all for your time and dedication to this topic, because I know it's been a discussion for the greater part of the last year.
We appreciate you dialing in. Sandy, anybody else online?
No, that's all.
All right, okay. And that concludes citizens' comments for this evening. Next on the agenda, item 4, Commissioner Grella, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of the minutes from the adjourned meeting held April 25, 2023. I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion's been moved and second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 5, Commissioner Rainey, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of resolution number R-7-23 designating a depository for the funds of Mount Lebanon for additional primary banking activities. The municipality must designate a depository each year for its funds. The Director of Finance recommends that the municipality add Pennsylvania School District Asset Fund as an additional depository for banking activities. I move to adopt resolution number R-7-23.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Is Andrew McCreary still here?
I'm here online.
Oh, awesome. If you could just give a brief summary of why we're doing this, or going to do this.
In today's interest rate market, it's a advantageous position to be in to spread our money and compete. And the Pennsylvania School District Liquid Asset Fund is really competing in the municipal space, and we'd like to take advantage of it with our idle sewage funds.
I assume their returns are higher than what we're getting in our other bank accounts?
Yes, it's over 5%. That's correct.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 6, Commissioner Sparkle Wilson, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for the consideration of the pollutant reduction plan, PRP, total maximum daily load plan, TMDL, for the Sawmill Run watershed. The municipality of Mount Lebanon solicited comments on an update to its pollutant reduction plan, PRP, total maximum daily load plan, TMDL, for the Sawmill Run watershed. Mount Lebanon's municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4, permit requires a PRP and/or TMDL plan to implement projects to reduce sediment and phosphorus and make this plan available for public review and comment. The previously approved PRP/TMDL plan from 2017 did not account for the recently constructed stream restoration project for an unnamed tributary to Sawmill Run along Thornwood Drive. The municipality has revised this TMDL/PRP plan to take credit for that stream restoration project to meet the PRP reduction requirements for the watershed. The advertisement for public comment ran on April 6th, and comments were accepted for 30 days. Copies of the PRP/TMDL plan were available at the municipal building for review. Public hearing was held April 25th, 2023. I move to approve the pollutant reduction plan, PRP/total maximum daily load plan, TMDL, for the Sawmill Run watershed.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Item 7, Commissioner Flynn, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request for final approval of a minor subdivision plan at 62 Cedar Boulevard. Flashpoint Partners LLC has completed construction of 2 dwelling units at 62 Cedar Boulevard and is now proposing to subdivide the lot into 2.07 acre individual lots as part of the final phases of construction. The planning board recommended final approval of the subdivision plan at its April 18th, 2023 meeting. All engineering comments have been addressed. I move to grant final approval to the 62 Cedar Boulevard subdivision plan.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I'm abstaining from voting on this agenda item as I am under contract to purchase one of the units.
All right, any other comments? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously with 1 abstention. Item 8, Commissioner Grella, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request for final approval of an amendment to the site plan for the Public Works facility at 1250 Lindendale Drive to add a fire training facility. The municipality of Mount Lebanon owns the property located at 1250 Lindendale Drive, where the Public Works facility is currently. In 2017, the commission approved the revised site plan to the Public Works facility to include additional storage facilities and structures. This revised site plan is requesting final approval to develop the site by installing a fire training facility, which will be located in between the firing range and the Public Works storage garage. The planning board recommended final approval of the site plan revision at their April 18, 2023 meeting. All engineering comments have been addressed. Tonight, the commission will hear a presentation on the project from Gateway Engineers and the fire department. The commission will vote on the final approval of the site plan at the May 23 meeting.
Come on down. We'd love to hear the presentation. We may have somebody holding that up depending on where the camera is so the audience can see. What do you think the best way of doing this?
I guess you put it right in front of me.
Do we have something that can go up on something?
Never heard anybody volunteer for that before. Now we have to make sure the camera is on there. All right. Let me do a test to make sure the camera picks this up okay. And not quite. Move towards you a little bit there if you can. Looks good. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. I'm Ryan Enoch with Gateway Engineers, and on behalf of Mount Lebanon and the Fire Department, we're seeking approval for the site plan amendment to the DPW complex for the construction of a fire training facility and a new storage garage for the Department of Public Works. As mentioned, the original plan was approved in 2017 and amended in 2018 for the construction of the firing range. This project will include the construction of the fire training facility in between the firing range and the existing storage garage, and the construction of an additional storage garage. The proposed storage garage was originally approved in 2017 with the plan, but never constructed. There are no changes to the storage garage. It'll be the same footprint, finish, everything as the original approved plan. The fire training facility will be a modular structure built out of refurbished shipping containers. The final color will match the existing facilities surrounding it. There are no major site work is proposed. Both facilities will be located on the existing pavement. There'll be some minor grade changes required just to meet the doorways and finished floor elevations. Some minor utility installation for a new fire hydrant right here for use during training activities, and some minor clearing behind the existing structures for construction. The Planning Commission did ask us to evaluate the existing landscaping along Cedar Boulevard. We made 2 trips out and did screenings in both April and March. And there was probably about 15 to 20% loss of the original landscaping screening that was installed as part of the DPW complex project. So we are proposing some additional screening at the southern entrance along Cedar Boulevard to help screen the new facilities. That's pretty much all I have on the site work. I'll let the chief come up and say a few things about the actual facility and how they're going to use it. So,
You want questions now or all at the end? Like on
Um,
the site plan?
I can take questions.
Sure. Is
Yeah,
the-
I'll take the site
yeah.
questions now.
Is the height of the building similar to the height that's in the building that's adjacent? or
So
nearby?
the fire training facility is going to be about 38 feet, I believe, at the top of the rail. The existing garage is about 20 feet. The salt storage shed is approximately 50 feet high.
50.
Yeah, so
This
it's
is
within,
Shorter than the salt structure.
yeah, it's shorter
Okay.
than the salt structure. It's well below, there's probably a 60 or 70-foot slope behind the complex there. So it'll be well screened from that aspect. It'll be in between the existing structures on site.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Size wise, it kind of fits in as well as colors.
Yep.
I am less concerned about screening probably than most people, because quite frankly, this is a big expenditure of public funds, which we should make. I'm all for doing that. But it's nice to let the public see what we're doing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with garages and fire things being there, so people see, here are your tax dollars in action. Just my personal opinion.
I agree.
At some point, whoever's speaking, might want to bring the model up so anybody watching can see. It's a wonderful model of what is being proposed.
Want to bring it up?
No, just as long as it's seen.
Just so you can see it.
And
on
I
the
think the
screen.
chief should have it in front of him.
Silverman.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
So we began, well, this project has been in the capital budget well before I was even fire chief. In 2018, we started to make a little bit of a push as a fire department. primarily because the costs had come down. They started building training facilities out of repurposed or even sometimes new shipping containers. Prior to that, you were building a cinder block building with a special coating inside, and you were looking at $2.5 to $3 million. So that's kind of what became at least a financial reality. And so for many months, we worked with Commissioner Flynn and Commissioner Ranney, Gateway Engineers, some other department heads, the manager, and we've kind of gotten to this point, which we're pretty excited about. So, you know, the building is primarily, the benefits to the department is one, is efficiency. It just saves the volunteers time. We try not to waste the volunteers' time. We appreciate the time and effort that they put in. Number two is the quality of the training. I've said I've been a firefighter for 38 years now. I know I don't look that old, but I have yet to go to a fire in a parking lot, and that's where we train. We stretch hoses in a parking lot with no obstacles. We throw ladders against the sides of buildings that have no windows. We practice our standpipe evolutions once a year in the North Garage, and that causes us to have to get the standpipe and a sprinkler system recharged the next day. And so this will just make training much more efficient. The main intent, just for the public, again, you know, I think everybody thinks fire training facility, we're going to be down there burning stuff in it all the time. That's not the main intent of the building. It will have one burn chamber, and the burn chambers actually would be in this area right here. It would be half of a container on the second floor. Our intent is to burn most likely 2, maybe 3 Saturdays a year. When we do that, what we burn would be about 2/3 of a pallet in a metal drum and 3 sheets of plywood. That's what gets burned. So we're not burning tires, we're not burning sofas, we're not burning really anything that would be more than what you might burn as a campfire in your backyard. Obviously, if atmospheric conditions on those days or just the weather is not conducive to burning, then we're going to postpone that and do it at a different time. You know, if someone's concerned about noise, the reality is we'll certainly work with them. We have certain training times, so the training times will be limited to not before 9 a.m. And on our Monday evenings, we train now. It would be 9:30 would be a hard stop. There'd be no more noise. We clean up and we would go back. The reality is we're at Public Works almost 3 Monday nights a week now.
You're already there.
Throughout the summer, yeah. So if no one's really complained, they must not know that we're there. I don't think we're gonna make that much more noise with the training facility, but we're pretty much already working on that property. And so I did get an up-to-date quote this past week, and it's good to know the price actually went down $2,000, which isn't significant, but it seems like the price of steel has stabilized, which is a good thing because we were really concerned that we were going to continue to see the price of steel continue to go up. So with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Do you have any questions? I've seen this presentation as part of the planning board, so I'll defer to the rest of the commission for their questions.
What's the timeline? So.
So
project.
my hope would be this, and I think it's a discussion with the manager and you folks and the finance director, but if we got Dan Miller's funding in August and the volunteer department is going to kick in another $100,000, I would hope at that point that we would consider signing a contract to get the process moving, which means that they would put the building in 2024 sometime. Now they're saying about 12 months. And so I think if we went any later than August, there's a potential we might even end up at 2025, but that's kind of the timing for the folks. They manufacture these in Sharon, PA, so it's a Pennsylvania company. They build the entire thing up there. They take it apart and they just come here and drop it on the pad and put it back together.
It's 12 months. What takes 12 months?
I think it's just a number of projects that they have.
Oh, I see.
You know,
Okay, so
right,
it's
you know,
their
there's
backlog.
probably only 2,
Got it.
from what I understand, there's probably 2 companies in the
Okay.
United States that do this type of work. And they're like the only company
Right.
east of the Mississippi.
Sure.
And they get some much larger projects than this at
Sure.
different places.
Okay. I thought maybe there was a shortage of shipping containers. No.
But everything's backlogged, steel
Yeah.
and everything else. I know if you were to order a fire truck nowadays, it's 3 years.
Yeah.
And it used to be,
Yeah.
about 12 months. So
Mhm.
there are those backlogs.
Any other questions?
I'll just say this has been fantastic working with you all through this
Likewise,
process.
likewise.
Totally enjoyed it. It's been an interesting journey. One of the things I've learned in the last couple of years, is that in Pennsylvania in 1970, we had 370,000 volunteer firefighters. Today we have 37,000. The fact.
And I would argue we have half of that.
Agreed. And the fact that not only do we have a very robust professional department, we have a very robust volunteer department here. That speaks to the level of quality that you and your leadership team, continually put into the department. And I think, training, yes, is so important, not only for this department, but for the surrounding departments. Again, we are doing great work here. But again, as we think about the future of fire in this region, having these types of assets and being able to train, the other volunteer departments is going to be really important going forward. So I'm very much in support and I really appreciate all your work.
Yeah, to jump on what Commissioner Flynn said, just to kind of connect the dots, if anybody didn't follow that, this could be a retention and recruiting tool. And especially volunteer firefighting is declining. So to keep, career and volunteers going, right?
And obviously, you folks and the manager deserve some credit, and those folks have pitched in. I think this community really understands and values our volunteers.
Yeah.
Where in a lot of communities, I really don't think they provide that much funding. They don't provide that much help. That's why there's not volunteers. I mean, here, our volunteers are saving the community a lot of money. They have an opportunity to participate in volunteering in the community. So, our goal is certainly to sustain, like most communities, that volunteer program, and we've been successful, but it's been with the support of you folks that we've been successful.
Well, also you have a great spring fling. I just want to say.
Yeah,
that was a
thank you.
Wonderful event. And I think that brings everybody together. I'm all for those. You could do it twice a year and I do.
Yeah, the spring fling and the fall fling is what is being proposed, but
Yeah,
we
very
don't
fun.
thank you and your
Yes.
team enough. We
Yeah.
really appreciate the work of
Yes.
the fire department and thank you and your team for your service.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda, item 9, Commissioner Rainey, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consideration of the award of a 5-year lease agreement for golf carts. Bids were received on May 31st, 2022 for a 5-year lease agreement for golf carts. This agreement will supply the Recreation Department with a golf course riding cart fleet of 34 carts and includes routine maintenance. Bids were received as follows, and you can see your screen. Staff has reviewed the bid prices and recommends award to the low bidder. So I move to authorize the execution of an agreement and any ancillary leasing documents with Club Car Alleghenies and DLL Finance LLC, subject to the approval of the manager and the solicitor of any final language changes to the agreements.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
I have a question. What was the prior 5-year cost? Does anybody know? Okay, okay. Cost went up. That's all I wanted to know. Thanks.
Someone asked this last time, but I'll ask it again because I don't remember the answer. Did we look at electric vehicles? I know you had mentioned something about a charging station, and I'm just curious if we looked at it and if we got like if any of them were included in the bid, and if so, what prices might have been. That's the single biggest hurdle to electric, with many other considerations, but,
So you're saying the electric would have to be garaged?
Plus the electric.
Oh, okay, thank you.
We did, just to give you a little bit more background, we did look at that. We reached out to Club Car. In terms of the cost of leasing, it's about $10 to $15 a month higher per cart, which isn't substantial. But to David's point, really, it's the infrastructure cost that we have not yet budgeted for. The electric carts they're currently still using lead acid batteries in those. They are going to move to the lithium batteries. When they do that, the cost to charge goes down by about 50%, as well as the charge time. Those carts will run for approximately 36 holes. And then they take 12 to 14 hours to charge. They also recommend that you have essentially one dedicated charger for each cart so that you're charging that cart or at least a couple of those carts at the same charger every time to extend the battery life. So again, the technology continues to evolve. We are continuing to look at it. And as David had alluded to, I would tell you probably within the next 5 years, the commission will see a budget item for a possible, I'll say, update to the clubhouse itself. As part of that, I think it would make sense to then also look at how do we provide for electric carts in the next round.
Okay, thank you.
Did anybody have another question?
No, it's good.
All right, hearing no more comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 4 votes to 1. And with that, we are adjourned.